Okay, we're going to talk about high accuracy orientation and body fixed frames for the Earth now. We'll talk about Earth binary PCKs, lunar binary PCKs, lunar frames kernel, and using binary PCKs. So you've already read about the standard text PCKs and FKs and other tutorials. You may want to learn about the several special PCKs and FKs dealing with the Earth and Moon. Well, it's ultimately up to you. In most cases, you should use the PCK and FK kernels described here when working with the Earth or the Moon. If you need only low accuracy Earth or Moon orientation information, for instance, for a visualization tool, then the standard text PCK data may be used. So the high accuracy Earth rotation model, which is actually quite similar, by the way, to the IERS model, takes into account Earth precession, using the 1976 IU model to Zaleski, Earth rotation, using the 1980 IU model with IERS corrections from Perry et al. True side aerial time using accurate values of T minus UT1 and polar motion. So these quantities, the true side aerial time and polar motion, come from an EOP file which is created at JPL and serves a similar purpose to that of the IERS EOP file. So the orientation given by this model is more accurate than the IU rotation model found in text PCKs, and we'll show the plot in an instant here. Note that the IU Earth frame orientation error is about 0.06 degrees, or about 1 milliradian, or about 6 kilometers on the great circle. So it's an enormous error, not suitable for making the model unsuitable for accurate work, or most accurate work. The highest accuracy of the binary PCK is obtainable only for past epochs. Unpredictable variations in UT1 minus TI and polar motion limits the accuracy of predicted Earth orientation. So here's the difference between IU Earth, or a graphic representing the difference between IU Earth and ITRF 93. And we can see that the prime meridian has this enormous bias here. The pole has a much smaller error, but in any case, this diagram alone shows that you don't want to use IU Earth for anything that requires high accuracy. As far as predicted rotation of the Earth, this is a difference. This diagram shows a difference between the predict part of a binary PCK and actual data, and we can see that over time the prime meridian location diverges very greatly from the actual value. So while the binary PCK for the Earth is very accurate for historical epochs, the extrapolation into the future is not very good, except for a period for a few months after the epoch of the last datum in the clock. Binary PCKs represent the orientation of AN, ITRF, XX body fixed frame relative to the ICRF, where ITRF 93 is the only one currently supported. These frames are defined by the IERS, and we are planning to update our system to deal with more up-to-date versions of the ITRF. However, due to the mutation corrections that we're using in the current file, even though it sounds like ITRF 93 means that we have an obsolete model, but due to the mutation corrections that are actually used, the orientation is very compatible with modern rotation models. There are 3 versions of the high accuracy binary PCK. The latest uses each new release by JPL of a reconstructed EOP file, and this is normally created on a daily basis. The JPL team that produces the EOP file updates it daily most of the time. Sometimes there are delays, and NAVE has a cron job running that simply locates that file and creates a new PCK from it. So it says several times per week, but this is actually normally daily. The long-term predict, which can be used for applications that go further into the future beyond 2 months from the production date, where highest accuracy is not required, is produced very infrequently. I think the last one we produced was 10 years ago or something like that. It covers several years into the past and approximately 30 years into the future. And accuracy at epochs in the future is low compared to that for past epochs, but any of it is far better than what's obtained from the IU rotation model provided by IU Earth, again, because of that large bias that we just saw. And then there's a history file containing only high accuracy historical data. All of these are in the PCK directory under generic kernels on the Nave server, located here, and the A README file explains the file name schema and provides some more details. High accuracy determination of surface locations relative to an inertial frame involves motions in addition to Earth rotation, including tectonic plate motion, tidal effects, and relativistic effects. In the list of effects above, tectonic plate motion is accounted for in Nave's DSN and some non-DSN station SPK files, but this helps only station locations, not other surface objects. The other non-rotational effects affecting surface locations are not accounted for by any PCK or any other SPICE component, but the magnitude of these is under 1 meter. So effects like solid earth tides, ocean loading, atmospheric loading, etc. are not accounted for in any modeling done by SPICE. And if you need that level of accuracy, you will have to find another way to do that modeling. What we're providing with the binary Earth PCK is high accuracy Earth orientation. But that's only part of the inputs needed to produce very high accuracy station locations referenced to the center of the Earth in an inertial frame. So summary, to use high accuracy Earth orientation data, load one or more binary Earth PCKs, and the precedence rule applies, so you want to load the most accurate data last. If you want to use the long-term predict in combination with the reconstructed data, you want to load the reconstructed data last. If you're using SPICE to access Earth size and shape information, you'll also need to load a text PCK file containing these data to get the Earth radii, because those are not contained in a binary PCK. Okay, so for the lunar rotation, the situation is a little bit different. It's simpler in some ways. High accuracy lunar rotation models available in binary PCKs are more accurate than the IU rotation model found in the text PCK. That's the IU moon. And the IU moon frame that is described by the text PCK is an approximation to the moon ME, the moon mean Earth direction frame, which is supported by binary PCKs. And the error is not that bad. My recollection is roughly the maximum error of something like 150 meters on the moon's equator. So it's not, oh, sorry, it's right here, 155. Okay, and the average again is 76 meters, so it's not terrible. Data for lunar orientation come from JPL's DE or LE XXX planet lunar ephemeris files. The current one is DE 430 or later. Binary lunar PCKs represent the orientation of the moon's principal axis reference frame, referred to as moon PA DE XXX relative to the ISRF. So it's the principal axis frame that the orientation for which is actually given by the binary moon PCK file. However, we have frame transformation, which we'll describe in a moment, that allow you to get the orientation of the moon mean Earth frame. Okay, lunar rotation model effects. I'll say that although we're describing these effects, I personally am not familiar with this model, so I can't add anything to what we're telling you here. The DE 421 ephemeris represents the results of a simultaneous numerical integration of lunar rotation and orbit and the orbits of the planets. And the model includes a solid moon, torques on the moon from static gravity field of 324, torque to the Earth, Sun, Venus, and Jupiter, torques on the moon and moments of inertia due to tides related by Earth, dissipation effects on torques and moments due to tides of the moon, torques on the Earth J2 interacting with moon degree 2, J2, and C22. Lunar quantities fit for D421 include initial conditions for lunar orbit and rotation of body, moment of inertia difference, third-degree gravity field coefficients, time and love numbers and dissipation, locations of 4 laser retroreflector arrays. And at the time this was written, he said it's anticipated further improvements in the orientation of the moon will become available in new kernels in the future. And I have to say, unfortunately, I do not know at the moment what the status of the latest moon model is, but I can say that we anticipate, or I anticipate, that any further updates that will be made in the near future will have very low-level differences from the orientation we're seeing now in the moon ME frame. That is meter level or below. Okay, we have a lunar frames kernel. This is a little bit different from the Earth situation where the ITRF93 frame is simply built into SPICE and you don't need a frames kernel to use the Earth binary PCK. For the lunar case, we do have a frames kernel and it does several things for you. One is it defines both the moon PA, that's the principal axis frame, and the moon ME frame for a given DE. So these frames are not the same for different DEs. Particularly the PA frames differ more from one DE to another because the principal axis frames are dependent on the mass distribution of the moon. But the ME frame is standardized because it's defined in terms of a direction to the Earth. And of course, the moon's orbit around the Earth is very well known. So the mean direction of the Earth is well known as well. And it is this moon ME frame that is usually used for cartographic purposes. It's the one in which the locations of the lunar retroreflectors are accurately known and so forth. These frames are unique to a particular JPL-produced planetary lunar ephemeris. So these are the ones that have the DE in their names. Now, the lunar frames kernel also connects the moon principal axis frame to the high accuracy lunar PCK data implemented in the principal axis frame orientation. And it provides specifications for implementing the rotation between the PA principal axis and mean Earth frame. It makes the moon ME DE XXX frame available to SPICE. It also provides generic frame names aliased to a specific moon PA DE frame and moon ME DE frame. These generic names are simply moon PA and moon ME moon underscore PA, moon underscore ME. And by using these aliases, you can use these aliases in your code and automatically refer to the correct latest version of the DE frame by just loading the right lunar frames kernel. So you don't have to change your code as the underlying DE changes. Okay, to summarize, when you want to use high accuracy moon orientation data, load the current binary lunar PCK and load the current lunar FK. That's actually all you need to do if you're using those moon ME and moon PA names for the frames in your code. If your application uses any of the old pre-1962 APIs that make use of the default lunar body fixed frames, which is described in the backup, load a moon frame association kernel making either moon ME or moon PA the default lunar body fixed frame. So some of the older, these are actually mostly deprecated routines now, but there are some older routines that try to be smart and automatically identify the body fixed frame for a given body, and unfortunately they think that in these old routines, think that IU underscore moon is the right frame to use with the moon, and they think IU underscore earth is the right frame to use for the earth. But mostly this problem will not occur if you use the modern APIs, and they're given here, illumins, incept, subpoint, and subsolar. The API documentation for the older versions that these routines supersede do say that those routines are deprecated. If you're using SPICE to access moon size and shape information, you also need to load a text PCK file containing these data. So again, just like with the Earth, the binary lunar PCK doesn't have any shape information. And you would typically use the latest generic text PCK, such as what's currently PCK version 10. Version 11 is coming out soon, incidentally. Here's a summary of the kernels that you need to load. So which kernels are needed to access each of these 3 lunar reference frames? Well, for the Moon PA frame, you're going to need the lunar binary PCK and lunar FK. To get the orientation of the ME frame, you'll also need these 2. And to get the orientation of the IAU Moon frame, you would need the generic text PCK. Okay, precedence for text and binary PCKs. Just like with SPK and CK, if you've got 2 or more binary PCKs with functionally equivalent data, a later loaded file takes precedence. So that's easy. Loading a text PCK that supersedes another one can lead to errors if data from the old PCK remain in the kernel pool. It's essential to unload the old text PCK before loading the new one. Now, we've said that if you load one PCK and then load another one, the second one takes precedence, but it's possible for the first PCK to have contributed some data that are not overwritten by the second PCK that you load. And those data can get used and combined with the data from the second PCK. So this is a sort of a gotcha here. If you're using multiple versions of PCKs giving orientation for the same object, you want to make sure to unload, specifically unload the old one before loading a new one. And if you've got a binary text PCK for the same frame, data available from the binary PCK always take precedence over data from the text PCK whenever there's a conflict. That's independent of the file loading order. And again, as we've mentioned before, this situation actually occurs extremely rarely. It will not occur with the files that you can get from the native server today. Tools for use with binary PCKs. You can use the comment utility that you've used already for SPK files to access the binary PCK comment area. You can read, extract, or insert metadata. You can use brief or space it to summarize a binary PCK. Brief is easier to use. Space it provides more information. You can read non-native binary PCKs without first converting them to native binary form. This is just like SPK and CK. You can convert a non-native binary PCK to native form, and that will also speed up data access somewhat, used to expert bin or bingo for that. Questions? Yes?
Maybe it's a general question. Why do we always need to unload the kernels? Why not when we launch or load one set of kernels for one application, and then when we do some other projects and we load, it should replace it? Or
well, so here's the thing. And it's not necessarily always the case that you need to unload it. You're talking about using spiftp, IC, or mice. So what can happen is, including this one very particular case that I just mentioned, what can happen is that the files that you loaded originally might not be entirely superseded by the files that you load next. And so they might contribute data that you weren't planning to use at all. For example, you might have extra coverage from these old files and unknowingly use it. You might have, if you made a mistake and thought that your new set of files had coverage for a certain time range, but they don't. Like this could happen with reconstructed files. If you load a reconstructed file, it's probably more limited in its coverage than a predate, which would have very, very broad coverage. You could ask for data for time not covered by the reconstructed file, get data from the predate file without having intended to do that. So if you want to clean up to make sure that you never get data that you didn't mean to use. That's actually, I didn't say this when I was talking about splice error handling, but one fundamental idea of the way splice works, and the reason your program stops when there's a splice error, is that we think one of the worst things that splice could do is allow the user to unknowingly do something wrong. And so you really want to avoid that, because that problem can be discovered very far downstream from where the problem first occurred. You might have derived results which are distributed to colleagues and so forth. It can be very hard to clean up once an error like that is made. So we want to make it very difficult to make those errors. Cleaning up the old state and creating a new state
is a good practice. Not always strictly necessary, but it's a good habit. Now here's this one case that I just mentioned is one which I actually personally got bitten by recently. I had a new PCK and an old PCK, and the old PCK had some additional trigonometric polynomial terms that the new one didn't. And what happened when I loaded the old one, loaded the new one, presumed I was using the new one, and I was using the new one, but I was also using some of the data for the new one that wasn't overridden. Well, sorry, some of the data for the old one that was overridden by anything in the new one. And I got crazy numbers. But not crazy enough for me to immediately know that they were bad. So, right. Anything else?